Yeah, I
I
just
did.
roughly turned my phone off, or not off, but on mute,
Yeah.
just to be on the safe side. Okay, it is now 5 p.m. on January the 25th of 2024. This is a city council workshop. Meetings are available to watch on our YouTube channel. Search for the City of Bruceville-Eddy and click the subscribe button. Please mute your phones and computers to avoid any interference during this meeting. Call to order. That's me. Okay. I want to thank everyone for being here. Chief Dorsey is in the back. Pam Combs is our city secretary. To my right here, I have Councilman Prater and Councilman McLaughlin.
Yes.
Okay, I got that right this time. And then to my left here, I have Councilman Wiggins at the end and Councilman Brewer, and then I have our city administrator, Kent Manton. And I think that's everybody I need to do that. Okay. Citizens presentation. The City Council welcomes public comments at this point on items not specifically listed on an agenda. Speakers must sign up before the meeting begins. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes. The council cannot respond to matters not listed on the agenda until a further future meeting. And Pam, you have any back there? I have one up here. I have Mr. Tony Rees, and if you'll come up to the podium, sir. He has a request today of speaking. He is requesting an overhead street light at a bus stop corner of Woodlawn and Crescent Creek. Cannot see the children in the mornings, very dangerous for them. Okay? Would you like to talk about this, sir?
I just like to request a light to be there, because I can't see the children. It's about a half bus load of children loads right there. Car come around this morning, was right in front of me, didn't see the kids, got right up in the middle of them, slammed on his brakes. I eased around and I couldn't see nothing. All I could see is images on the side of the road, because it's so dark right there. And that's all I'd like to do before some child gets hurt. Is try to get a street light there. Got a pole there. All we need is a light. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
What was that intersection?
It's the corner of Woodlawn and Crescent Creek. There is a pole there, but it has no light on it, so there is no light there at all. Gene took out of his time. He went over there and looked at it himself. So, in case you are wondering. Okay.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Yes, sir. Thank you. We can't discuss it or anything, with you, or ask questions, or you ask us, because it is a citizens presentation. So, okay. Number 3, racial profiling report with Chief Dorsey. Chief.
Thank you, ma'am. Evening, Mayor and Council. I have to get y'all a new patch photo. That one was a little old.
Sorry about that, Chief.
I just wanted to share our racial profiling report for the year of 2023. Something that we have to submit to TCOL, Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, before March 1st of every year. I try to be early and get submitted well beforehand, so we got submitted on January 15th, but it's also something I have to present in front of y'all as well. But the data reflected in this will be different than what the citation and warning data will be, because the racial profiling report captures data from the persons that we make contact with. So it's not capturing any citation or warning, like totals. It's not factoring that into the total stops. Just the total stops reflect how many people we made contact with. I know there's a lot of numbers in here, but it breaks everything down. But I would like to point out that we did have 0 complaints of racial profiling, so that's always a positive. Other than that, I'll just submit the report to y'all.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Anybody This is discussion time, this is just a workshop, there's no, taking action or do anything like that, this is just discussion. Does anybody, anything they wanna talk about that or anything, or?
Seems like a good job, Chief.
Yeah,
Thank
good
you.
job.
So too.
Good
Yeah,
job.
Thank you
Thank
very
y'all.
much.
Good job, Chief.
Yeah, okay, moving right along. Number 4, Bivens Family Pet Cremation Agreement. Council discuss, consider, and provide staff with further directions on a service agreement with Bivens Family Pet Cremation for the disposal of deceased animals. And I think, Kent, you have something on that?
Yes, Mayor, Council, thank you so much, and thank you so much for coming out and being with us tonight. So we have before you a local business owner who's looking to establish an agreement with the city of Bruceville-Eddy. This agreement would be for cremation services at the Bivens Family Pet Crematory. Right now, we do have some animals that occasionally come up for disposal. There's a couple different ways of dealing with those animals. We can send them to the landfill. It has to be a Class 1 landfill. Waco is that Class 1 TCEQ established landfill for burial of animals. Or we can go through incineration. So you'll see here that Bivens is proposing that it's going to be $1.25 per pound of the animal. Waco has a cost of $45 per animal plus the weight with a $10 minimum. And they charge this cost because you have to bring it to them and then they have to bury those animals the same day. They don't have an option on that one, so they get to get it to the very top of the working phase at the landfill and make sure that they're taken care of. Just to break down on some of the examples of animals we might bring to the contractor here. For a 30-pound animal example, Waco's would be about $55 based on the weight and the initial cost. Bivens would charge $37.50 for that. On a 100-pound animal, it flips a little bit there. City of Waco would still charge that $55 because their cost per the weight is a little bit lower. And then Bivens would be $125. So just while staff is bringing this to you, we do get some complaints from our citizens about animals being deceased on the side of the road. A lot of the smaller ones probably would just go by the wayside. Nobody really cares. But for animals like dogs and cats, and it's not clear who the owner is, the city has taken responsibility for that, and we'll pick those up. Over the last few months, we've engaged with them on a case-by-case basis to handle the incineration of those animals. And we've already paid some of those invoices. But just so you see here, we do have a maintenance contract with TxDOT for the removal of litter, which includes animals. On TxDOT's I-35, a controlled access highway, they handle all of that. For the FM 107 and Highway 7 that goes through the city limits, what they consider a non-controlled access, that does fall on the city of Bruceville-Eddy to handle. Now, we can request additional assistance from TxDOT, but it's on a case-by-case and availability basis. So any cost towards this does go to our budgeted animal control, and we're just asking staff for some further direction. Of course, the owner of the business is here to answer any questions that you have, and I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Wiggins? Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, what about you said we had an agreement with TxDOT?
Yes, sir. That's just under their general maintenance agreement for the maintenance of FM 107, Highway 7, 3rd Street. So it includes, the culvert cleaning. It includes who's responsible for damages, should we have to cut into it, and including the litter control.
And so we're responsible for that. Do they pay us?
No, sir.
Okay, so where's that agreement at?
Where do we keep the agreement?
No, where's that agreement at? You're saying that maintenance agreement that we have with them? I didn't know.
We do. It was signed in 2013. I have a copy of that in my office.
Okay.
I can get you that.
Yeah. I'd like to see that.
Sure.
And so any animal along FM 107 and Highway 7 within the city limits, then we pick the animal up and dispose of it?
It depends. Not every animal. We haven't been picking up every animal. It's those that are reported by our citizens, and the citizen has a concern for an animal being left out there. We have been handling that.
Okay. Have we had any charges from that?
Yes, sir. To date?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
What are those?
I do not remember all the charges off the top of my head. I think $25, $10, probably under.
the Great
under
No, I'm
200.
talking about with this text dot.
Oh,
I'm talking about with text dot. For us, picking up anything off of 107 over the past couple of years. So you said we've had this agreement since 2013. So how
Yes,
many
sir.
animals has the city paid for, disposed of since then?
oh, I
You
don't.
know?
I don't have that information before me, sir. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I spoke with Esther today,
Okay.
and I asked her, and she said, we have not paid for any this fiscal year. We did not pay for any last fiscal year.
For the disposal of
Yes.
animals
Yes.
to a
that's correct.
crematory.
Yeah, no, I didn't say crematory. You're talking about, right now, I'm just addressing the deal with TxDOT around 107. You said we had a maintenance agreement with TxDOT, which included
Yes, sir.
disposing of animals. Is that right?
No, sir. TxDOT
No.
has no costs, so there would be no cost associated with TxDOT.
Okay, so,
I was are you talking about the city of Waco?
no, I'm talking about Eddie. I mean, you're talking about we're responsible for a collection of deceased animals along 107.
Yes, sir.
So, and I thought, maybe I'm misunderstanding here, because I thought you said, go ahead.
How much money has the city spent over the past 2 or 3 years to have the animals disposed of at the Waco, taking them to Waco and having them do it?
I don't have that information before you.
Well,
I can certainly gather that for you.
You said that you checked with Esther and.
Yeah,
there
that's
had
what I'm
been no-
saying, is that I checked
no
with Esther.
disposal of
if-
any
Because that
animals.
would be in our budget. That would be broke down in our budget. And when I checked with Esther, she said she wasn't aware of any agreement like that, or she said she looked for this fiscal year, so from October to now, none. All of last year, none was spent.
So
I
no
don't-
animals were collected during the past 2 years?
I don't know if it's collected, but we didn't spend any, we wasn't charged anything. So,
Yeah,
anyway.
we don't collect data on the complaints or the collections of how many animals. We take care of it. And I'd have to look into it a little bit further and get with Esther on those costs. But I certainly take you for your word on that we haven't spent anything to date.
So the-
Now, for this fiscal year, we have spent money with Bevan's Pet Crematory
With the
to dispose of
crematory.
some animals. yes.
Yeah.
Probably under $200, I would be safe. to say.
Right.
Yes,
But-
definitely. Police calls and things of that sort with animal control of having neglected animals that has passed away, yes.
Yeah. I mean, here's my take on this is, first of all, we put $4,000 in the budget for animal control. Is all we put for this fiscal year. We're at 2,000 already and 3 months into the year. So I can't see, maybe we can readdress this at budget time, because I don't know what it's going to be. And then, given the fact that, this is the mayor's daughter, it is what it is, I think we need to put it out for bids, where it'll be on the up and up if we do enter into an agreement. Our city has never, and I know ever since I've only been here 40 years, but we've never had someone that come out and got dead animals, a squirrel on the side of the road, or possum, or skunk, or anything like that. I mean, we've never had that. Buzzards
Can I?
usually take care of that, and I'll let the mayor finish.
Sorry, I was just letting him know that I'm not talking on this. He's the mayor pro tem, so he's in charge
Okay.
You want to kind of state what you were doing here on the
In-
microphone, just for
Oh,
transparency?
yes, I was talking to our mayor pro tem to let him know that he is in charge of this number 4 on the Bivens Family Pet Crematory, because the business is owned by my daughter. I have nothing to do with it, but I wanted him, I'm not speaking, I'm gonna let him take care of it. That's what I was telling him.
Okay, anyway, can I finish? Okay. Anyway, I think that we ought to check and see what other cities our size do. And like I said, near budget time, if we still think we ought to do this, then put it out for bids, and that way everybody has an opportunity if we want to. But, I mean, you think about this, are we talking about, and in her agreement, the language that it has is any animal. Any is any.
So
So,
what you have in your agenda packets was really just a term sheet, so it was just kind of starting the conversation. If council wanted to move forward with any formal agreement, we can certainly draft that up. This was
No.
just kind of for conversation.
no, I'm just,
points. Okay.
all I have to work on is what we have. And what we have currently says any animal. Any animal could be a squirrel, skunk, possum.
Can I get Ms. Bevins to respond to that?
Okay, thank you.
You can beat that
So,
horse to death.
thank
Yeah.
you. It's mostly domestic, and I mean any, as in, if a resident calls the animal control or the police department concerning a neglect of an animal, or say someone calls the city council and says, hey, there is an animal that's in front of my home, they're not usually gonna call about a squirrel. Normally, people don't worry about squirrels, buzzards, rats, things like that. It's mostly animals that are domestic. I've never got a call other than that. And if the city calls me and says, hey, we have this animal, if under contract, it's usually gonna be a domestic animal, more than likely. And I've had a call with the police department because we had a neglect of an animal that died of starvation, and they asked me to pick up and bury or cremate at the time. Because we didn't have a contract, so that was either bury or cremate. It was a cremation, however. But what I'm trying to get at is it's normally not going to be a wild animal. Unless the city says, okay, let's do a wild animal, but I really don't see that happening.
Mr. Craig?
Well, I can remember when you applied for your conditional use permit.
Yes.
You standing at that same spot you're
Yes,
standing
sir.
right
That
now?
was, what, a year and a half ago?
Yeah. And I can remember the words coming out of your mouth. Can you remember them?
Oh, I was so nervous that day.
It was, and we will be picking up the animals that are dead in Bruceville-Eddy for free. That is what come out of your mouth.
Right. That was right. That is correct.
All right.
Then when I got the police call, that was a different story.
I
'Cause
can
I
under-
wasn't expecting police calls.
I can understand the neglect.
Yeah.
Because we got a charge on it. We got somebody we
That's
can
right.
hold responsible. Is that all you've charged?
Yeah.
Is neglect animals is all you've gotten rid of?
Yes, so, two of them were, I think, one was like $10. I charged $10. The
But
other
that
one was
was-
15, that the code enforcer picked up, and then I was called to do that, to go ahead and dispose of. I think it was like a $15 charge. But the Great Dane was a little heavier, and it was a domestic, it was a neglect, and he was been dead for a while, and it was
Yeah,
not
it
a
was
pretty sight.
it was across the street from my
And that
house,
was
yeah.
something serious. And so therefore, I had to use PPE. There are certain steps I had to take to remove this animal. So I did charge for that, yes.
I can understand 100,000% right on charging on something like that.
Yes, sir.
But it also, when I called and talked to Mr. Kent, I talked to you once about it, and you said, yeah, if they call, no, it's Miss Owens. If they call City Hall and report the animal on the road, well, how else are we, she's supposed to know to pick them up. So every call would have to come through the city. So like if a citizen called the city and said, hey, there's an animal that's been run over out here in the middle of the road,
For free.
that'd be for free.
And we've already discussed that, me and you, alone.
Yeah.
When you called me one day about, I think it was
A cat that'd been run over.
And I did that for free.
Right.
Because that's
But
what I mean
wouldn't-
when I say
I
free.
wasn't understanding, I wasn't
So there's a
understanding.
difference.
So we would put in, but I mean, if a citizen calls the city and says, hey, there's a dog run over in front of my house out here, you would come pick that up and get rid of it for free?
If the code enforcer or city administrator said, hey, there is something that I need your help with, and that would be disposing of an animal, yes, of course I would.
Okay.
But that's me doing something for free is because I do it for free, and that's because I care. And that's because someone else, I don't want other people, children or whatever, to see.
That's
However, when that police call came in, that's when I thought, oh, well, that's different.
it is different.
And it's a whole process.
Right.
And that's where this contract came about.
Well, I'm just
So-
trying to get it cleared up in
and we
my
can-
head
yeah.
that just a regular old animal, a coyote gets run over, or even just a dog, just a dog that don't belong to anybody, it's just run over. How's the citizen supposed to? Would they be able to call you and say, hey, there's a dead animal? No, they would call the city, and then the city would call her, and then in that case, she would be able to charge to get rid of that.
Yeah.
That's so you would charge to get rid of that animal. There's no way you would never have to get rid of one for free ever, because the city would be calling you and saying,
If the
hey.
city called, correct, but not every time the city doesn't call, just like you called one time. You didn't go to the city.
Well,
called-
that's
you
because
called.
I'm with the city. I
Well,
remember you saying that
right.
you was going to do it for free, so that's why I called.
Right.
I could have went out and buried it. I have a
And that
I
is
have
correct.
a track
Most
hoe,
people do.
but
Most
right,
people do.
right. That's why I'm saying that's why I called y'all. But any regular person they don't have y'all's number. They're going to call city, and if they call the city and the city calls you, then you're going to charge us to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have a contract, yeah.
It's a process,
If we have a contract, and if we ain't paid nobody the whole time I've ever lived here, I don't understand why we're having to do it now.
Okay. I don't either, Richard, but the way this contract is, the way it's written, is that any animal that has been killed or that had died on the road and left for the city of Bruceville-Eddy to pick up. So that means if somebody calls the city and says, got a dead squirrel over here, it might not be nothing to you, might not be nothing to me because it's a squirrel, but it might be something to that person, and well, okay, we got a call on it, so let's send one of our guys, so we're using our manpower and our equipment, vehicles, go over and pick it up and take it to her. Now, any is any, okay? It might not be. I'm just saying, but it
understand
could
your
be.
point. I
It could be.
Yes,
So
I
that's what
understand.
you have to go by.
Let me make a comment here real quick.
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, there should probably be language in there that the animal would, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There probably should be language in there that the animal would pose some kind of a health risk to the community if it remains there. An example being the one dog that had been deceased. It was infested with larvae and things like this, which was a health hazard to the community, and it produced a noxious smell. Now, if that's the case, then I see the need for picking it up. If it's a squirrel or a bird or something like that, and it's not being taken care of by nature, then the removal is a shovel in your trash can. But I'm kind of getting the idea that this is going to come down to that it poses some kind of a health risk to the community and therefore needs to be removed immediately or at
Yes, sir. Well, see, and you're correct. This needs to be reworded. This was done a while. So this was done just out of thought. Whenever I got that police call and I was told they needed my help, that's when I thought, okay, this is what I could do. That's something that the city and I could work with. Some type of, like you said, a situation, because you were there, you've seen it, and that is definitely a health risk. That's definitely something that needs to be taken care of immediately. And I was happy to do that. I was honored to do that. And so I thought, okay, well, if I could get a contract with them with this type of, a service, that is perfectly fine. Only if it's fine with you guys, of course. But I mean, I'm not trying to get every little penny of a bird or squirrel. I'm really not. That's not why I'm here. That's not what this means at all. This just means I'm here to help whenever you need me. If you have something going on, like the police call, the neglect, whatever it may be, I'm here. And if you would like to, I don't mind, and it's just $1.25 a pound, which is a lot cheaper than I normally do, a lot cheaper. So, and any other crematory, for that matter.
Okay. Okay, again, I think we need to check with some other cities our size and see what they do. Like I said, we've never done anything like
I
this.
understand.
And, you know, you think about that, any road, county road, what does the county do if they have an animal
Yeah.
out there on the side of the road? You know, I mean, it's health hazard too, you know, don't matter where it's at. So it is what it is. But I just think we need to kick this can down the road to budget time and give us time to check with other cities, and
completely understand.
then give you more time to prepare
Yeah.
a different contract and agreement, and then we could put it out for bids.
Oh, of
That
course.
way, no one can say, well, y'all just give the mayor's daughter, you know,
Give anybody.
yeah. Well, I don't want, you know, it is what it is. I don't want people to say, well, we just give the mayor's daughter a contract.
Sir, I'm not asking for any favors.
Yeah, no, I'm, okay.
I'm not asking for any favors because she is
Yeah.
my mother.
Sheree?
No, ma'am, no, sir.
Did you have your hand up? You're done. Richard?
Yeah. What I'm saying is, we're gonna pick up an animal and take it to her. We can do the same process. We got 44 acres over there that we could go over and dig a hole. We own a backhoe. We own a little track hoe. And if it's like that, we can go over and dig a hole and bury it.
Of course you can.
Say a couple words over it.
Most people do.
You know,
Most people do.
I'm trying to save money for the taxpayers. I mean,
Right.
I can understand a call from the police department. I could use a contract like that. But I mean, if there's a case against that person for that animal, 100,000%, because we'd have a place to show to the citizens that this is why we had to do it, because there is a case on it, and we have a chance to recoup that money back for you. But I mean, just a dead animal on the road, if it's that big of a big deal, we got a backhoe. Wouldn't cost the same amount to pick it up and drop it off as it would to pick it up and bury it. That's my thought on it.
All right. Thomas?
You mind just coming up to the mic?
I was just going to say, since I've been in the service for the city, I've taken care of 3 dogs and 2 cats on my own. I didn't know what to do with them at the time, so I just took them to a pet cemetery and buried them. If her service would have been available at the time, I probably could have used it, because I did it on my personal time, though. I just did it right for the animal. Just something to chew on for a minute.
Danielle?
Hello, Danielle McGurr. So I think I like Thomas's last statement the best, as far as burying the animals in a cemetery and not just burying the animals in a cemetery and not just in a 44-acre lot. I feel like, one, you want to respect the animal even if it is unknown, and two, if we're going to turn maybe some of that acreage into a park, it's kind of gross to know that there's like dead animals buried underneath our park.
I don't believe we're gonna have a 44-acre park, but if it took assigning a place for these animals, that animal don't know it's dead, it's in heaven. It's, you know, is a cemetery better than, I mean, if we bury it right outside the cemetery, is it bad? But if we bury it inside the cemetery, it's okay? I don't understand.
Okay. This is a very country town.
Yes.
And animals are not people. We don't see animals as people, we see them as animals. They're to be respected, of course, and treated right. they need to be treated right and not abused or neglected. That, of course, is horrible. That should never happen. But to think that you have to put an animal in a cemetery, I think is going a little far. I mean, animals are not, they're animals. As long as they're treated with, if you cremate them or you bury them somewhere where there's not a health hazard, you're taking care of any kind of health hazard that could occur. So you're burying them, they're cremated or something like that, then I think it's okay. But to say that the city has to spend money to bury them in a cemetery, I think that's just my feeling. I just wasn't raised to think that way.
I just wanted to clarify something when I said I buried him in a pet cemetery. It was on a farm. He had sectioned off a section of his land that, well, he buried his animals in that section. So it was a pet cemetery, not a cemetery. It was just a friend of mine's property, and that's what he did in that area. They all have gravestones and everything, but it's nothing extravagant like Cox Cemetery or the human cemetery.
And that's great that your friend does that, but to say the city has to, I think that's taken a little far.
Well, I just wanted to clarify what I meant by I buried them in a cemetery.
Thank you, Thomas.
Ms. Bivens?
I would just like to say that I fully respect your two's opinion, but I don't think it's fair to just say we live in a country town, and my opinion is that we should just be able to throw a dead dog in a hole and call it a day, when other people that is your city are telling you today that we don't think that and that they should have a proper place to go is unfair.
Well, I respect your opinion, and I ask that you respect mine. And if the dog or cat has an owner and they want to have a burial of some kind, then that's wonderful. That's their pet. I have pets. I have 5 cats that I love dearly. And I will bury them when they pass. But we're talking about spending taxpayers' money. We've already spent, what was it, Mr. Wiggins? $2,000 out of the budget. And to say the city has to put them in a cemetery somewhere or do something special for an animal, I think is really taking it too far. They're animals. They're not people.
Okay. Oh, does he want to respond?
I just wanted to quickly respond to that because I don't know anything about the numbers. I'm not here. It's not why I stood up and talked. It was about the numbers because that's an issue I don't know about. My point is, I understand that that is your opinion and thought process that they are just animals and etc. However, you're not here as yourself. You're here as a member of the city council, and you're supposed to speak for your citizens, and you have citizens here telling you we don't agree with that at all. And you're not here as Joyce, you're here as councilwoman.
Well, I have had citizens who have called me, who know about this, that have heard about what you guys want to do, and they think it's a bad idea. So do I just push those citizens aside and say, well, I got to listen to y'all, I can't listen to them?
No, ma'am, that is not what I said. I would just like to finish one sentence real quick. Is that I didn't say that at all, but I'm telling you to look at both sides and not just agree with, oh, these people support my personal opinion, and not just ignore the, say, other half of the city. I would like you to discuss both sides and not just immediately shut one out.
Well, that's what I'm doing.
You had something you wanted to say?
I come from a little old town called Bay City, Texas, about 250 miles south here, born and raised there. I joined the Navy, went to the Navy 4 years. When I got out, there wasn't no work hardly, so I went to work for the city of Bay City. I took care of the animals. What might be kind of cruel about what I'm about to say, but we had a veterinarian come put them to sleep. We took them out to the dump ground, and we buried them out there under all that rubbish. We had about anywhere 15, 20 animals a day to come through that town that people were just abandoned. We had no place to put them. Houston said they would help us. That never come through. So we had to do the best we could. And we dug holes out there to put the garbage in, and we covered them up every day. And that's an option. If you feel that way, that buried right that way, that's fine. But we had to do it. We couldn't let the remains stay out and open. Didn't cost us no money, except just for a dog catcher to pick them up and take them out to dump.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Ricky?
Okay, you know, we live in a small town here. We're not in some big cities where maybe they don't have the space, they don't have the land like we do here. And so they probably have like pet cemeteries because they don't have places to bury them. Maybe in your backyard, and that might be against some ordinance. But here, folks, I don't care if it's on your farm and it's your favorite pet. Maybe it's a horse, and that horse passed away. You know what they do? They bury them there on their land. It don't matter. Does it matter? Is it a hole in the ground? Yes. Does it matter if that hole in the ground is done by the person that owns the animal or somebody who comes picks it up and then puts it in the ground? It's still buried. So, you know, and do we? Yes, we listen to everybody, but you know, what we do have to do too is, like Ms. McLaughlin said, we have people that call us and talk to us about these things too. Even though they might not be at the meeting, that don't mean that they can't voice their opinion. And so we do listen to everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna listen to a final,
Yep.
quick statement.
Just final.
Then we gotta move
Yeah.
on to some other items.
Right, correct. So I just want to say thank you for your time, and I respect all opinions, all thoughts, because everyone's different in this world. If we were all the same, it'd be terrible. So that's all I wanted to say, was that I respect each and everybody's opinions. Most people do bury. I'm not saying you have to cremate. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, if the police officer calls me or they need a removal, just give me a call and we can work something out. It's not like I want your money or I gotta have it. That's not it. That's not why I opened the business. I opened the business to take care of animals because somebody wants me to help them. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll pass this back on.
Okay. Okay, now we're moving right along to number 5, and that is TMRS COLA. Council will discuss, consider, and provide staff with further directions on the addition of a cost of living adjustment opinion of our Texas Municipal League Retirement System Plan. Kent?
Thank you, Mayor. So, wanted to put this on agenda at a request of a council member, talking about cost of living adjustments for a retirement plan. Just a couple overviews of the basics here. Our current contribution rate is 7%. We do match for employees at a 1.5 to 1 ratio. The current retirement eligibility just updated to 20 years of service at any age, 5 years of service at the age of 65. We do have the updated service credit option through TMRS. So what is that COLA? So it's an optional benefit for retirees to help protect against those inflationary pressures that everybody feels, right? That devaluation of your dollar. If council would like to move forward with any COLA option, it would not go into effect until January 1st after any potential adoption there. So our plan is still well funded as of October 2023 at a 108, or basically 109% ratio there. We would have to reach out to TMRS and get some additional calculations run to see what this kind of a option would have on our budget. Anything that we do move forward with, or council does move forward with, would have to be approved by ordinance. And of course, the COLA option can also be rescinded by ordinance at any time. So here are different options for a COLA. We have 30% of CPI, 50% of CPI, or 70% of CPI. Right now, just for that census on our retirement, we have 5 employees that are currently eligible for retirement. That's both our past and present employees. And then within the next 5 years, we have 4 employees that are going to be eligible, again, past and present employees. So tonight, we're just asking some additional direction, some discussion from council to give us guidance. I would just say that, tonight, I think the best option would probably just be to refer this to the upcoming budget committee that we'll be establishing here in a few months.
All right, Mr. Wiggins, I see your
Okay.
hand go up.
Okay, yes. Most everyone over a period of their retirement gets some type of COLA. But this TMRS, these people who retired in the past, they have never had a cost of living raise since they retired, because it's not set in there. And we have employees, 2 currently, that could retire. So we need to think about that. Now, this is something, obviously, that we're going to have to kick down the road to budget time, too. But keep in mind on this COLA, and like Kent said, if you adopt it this year, it's not going to go into effect until January 25. And we can choose, the city can choose to discontinue COLAs at any time. So if we put one in, that don't mean that we have to do it, that's every year, or every time a COLA comes around. So I think for the people that retired from the city and that's never had a COLA raise at all, yeah, I think we need to look at doing that come budget time and see where the numbers come in. That's all.
Anybody else want to discuss anything about this, about the COLA?
Just
Kent?
move right along with researching then, huh?
Okay, all right.
All right.
Then
we
we'll
can
go with
certainly
number 9. I can do this since we're not doing it, because we don't have to take a vote on it. It is now 5:43, and this meeting is now, the workshop meeting is now adjourned until 6 o'clock when we start our regular council meeting. So take a break. We'll be back at 6. We'll play some music until then. Thank you. Okay, fine. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 6 p.m. on January the 25th of 2024. This is our regular city council meeting. Meetings are available to watch on our YouTube channel. Just search for the City of Bruceville-Eddy and click the subscribe button. Please mute your phones and computers to avoid interruption during the meeting. Okay, first of all, I want to thank everybody for being here. To my left, we have Councilman Wiggins and Councilman Mayor Pro Tem, Mr. McGruer. We have our City Administrator, Kent Metton. And to my right, at the end, we have Councilman Prater and Councilman McLaughlin. And in the back, we have our Chief of Police, Michael Dorsey. And in the back up there, we have Pam Combs, our City Secretary. Thank you all for being here.
Don't forget Johnny, Mayor.
Oh, Johnny.
Johnny's hiding back there.
Well, I just went back there and talked to him. And back there, we have our Water Works gentleman, Johnny Grady, right? See, I got that right. I wasn't for sure I would or not. Because I never called him by his last name. But thank y'all very much, okay? If y'all would please stand for prayer, I'd appreciate it. Get my mic here. Lord, we come before you tonight with gratitude. We thank you for being a God of love who is with us tonight in this very room. Your grace has brought us safe this far, and your grace will lead us home. We thank you for making each of us in this room, with every person we meet, every citizen of the city, in your image with dignity and worth. I thank you tonight, God, for your servants, myself, our city administrator, the city staff, city council members, and our first responders. I give thanks for the ways of service they have chosen to take up on behalf of all of us here. Lord, may we lean on your everlasting arms tonight. We pray for wisdom and strength and courage to do what is right and good for all citizens. We just want to thank you again for the council, city staff, first responders, and all those who work to make this a place we can call home, such a wonderful city. In the precious name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. Thank you. You may have a seat. And since I went ahead and done the roll call during the greeting, I'm going to skip number E. Community announcements. Do we have any that we know of? I think Kent has a few.
Just a few for you. Just as a reminder, anybody who hasn't filled out that open space survey from McLennan County, you're welcome to do so. There's a QR code up on the screen for you. Also have the link, and you should be able to find a couple handouts out there in the chairs if that's more convenient for you. Just a big one here. So a benefit is being organized by the mayor and a couple other citizens for Bonnie De Leon's cancer fight. So former Mayor Bass, his daughter, has been struggling, and so more information on that one's going to be coming forth, correct,
Yes.
Mayor? Okay. Upcoming city council meetings, we're going to have another special call meeting on February the 1st at 10 a.m., and then our regular one is set for February the 22nd. And just as a reminder, city offices will be closed for President's Day on the 19th of February.
Okay. All right. Is that yes, ma'am. You want to come to the mic, please? State your name.
Hey guys, it's Danielle. So just a reminder that the volunteer fire department is having their chili fundraiser on February 10th from 11, usually until 1 or until they run out.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'd forgotten about that one. Thank you for reminding us. Okay, anyone else have an announcement they'd like to make? Okay, moving right along. Police Chief's report, Mr. Dorsey? Oh, we do need those, okay. The citizens' presentation, the city council welcomes public comments at this point on items not specifically listed on the agenda. Speakers must sign up before the meeting begins. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes each. The council cannot respond to the matter not listed on the agenda until a further meeting. Do we have anybody signed up to speak during this agenda meeting? Okay, all right, moving right along. Number 4, Chief Dorsey.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone.
Evening.
I'd first like to start with our December 2023 Police Department report. For the month of December, calls for service, we had 115.
Chief, sorry to interrupt. Would you mind turning on your mic? I think we
It
failed to get that
shows
back
red.
on.
There it is. Now it's green.
Wonderful.
All right, for our December 2023 Police Department report, calls for service, we had 115. Reports to include arrest, offense, and incident, we had a total of 8. Crash reports, total of 11. Citations and warnings, 166. 75 citations, 91 warnings. Also for the month of December, security checks, we had 143. School zone enforcement activities, 14. Neighborhood patrol, 42. Directed traffic enforcement, 38. And also have our call type breakdown and our citations and warning breakdown for the month. For our school resource officer, Officer Steiner, for the month of December, calls for service were 3, security checks 56, and then also have a monthly activity breakdown as well. I'd also like to share our year-to-date for the police department for the year of 2023 that runs January 1st through December 31st. For our department, we had calls for service 1,497, reports to include arrest, offense, and incident 142. Also added criminal offense arrests. We had a total of 42. Crash reports 81. Citations and warnings 2,136. Citations were 1,251, and warnings were 885. Then I also did a year-to-date for our school resource officer. Calls for service 31. Security checks 1,335. Citations and warnings, 12 citations, 26 warnings, and we also had 4 canine walkthroughs at the school. I guess I'll close by just saying that I think we had a good year in 2023. I'm definitely proud of our police department, the things that we've accomplished, and some of the things that we've started doing, some of the new things that we've put into place. But I just want to thank y'all for letting me be in this position and trusting me to lead our department. And I'm very, very thankful and honored to be in the position that I'm in. And I love my job very much, and I love serving our citizens each and every day. That's why I do this job, is for our citizens and for our community. And I just look forward to making good things happen in this year. So, and I look forward to working with each of y'all and looking forward to working with our citizens.
Thank you, Chief. We appreciate you. Does anybody have any questions or anything for the chief this time on his reports?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Prater, Councilman Prater.
On your school resource officer? Oh, on your school resource officer report?
Yes, sir.
Says, one incident report. I wanted to see them reports from that.
Okay.
I asked you last meeting, if I could get them reports.
You're talking on the month of December, or the year-to-date?
The month of December. Says you have one incident report here. think I'm looking at the right thing. I may be looking at the wrong thing. Oh, no, that's the year.
No?
Yeah, for the month of
Yeah,
December, there was one,
Yeah.
and I can certainly get that, see
Yeah.
what that was.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. If there's a report made, I want to see it.
All right, sir.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, number 5, we are going to move number 5 until our next meeting, next council meeting, which will be in February. So we're skipping on down to 6. Public Works Director report. It's Gene, but he's not here, so it's Johnny Grady. Johnny?
Hello. I'm standing in for Gene Sprouse. So here we have total pumped water gallons would be 14,170,000 gallons for December. Total sold is 9,104,419. Total flushed would be 1.546,800. Total loss would be 3.518781. So that puts our water loss percentage at 24.83%. All right, I'm gonna skim through some of this. All right, we installed 3 new water meters last month. We have 5 CSIs still yet to do. They're still under construction. So when they get done, we'll stay on top of that. We have fixed 5 water leaks last month. We've done 4 line locates. What else? 19 reinstatements of water. And that's pretty much their streets. Looks like just 1 work order for streets. I'm not really sure what that was. And then maybe 1 pressure check. And that's pretty much.
All right. Does anyone have any questions for Johnny? Yes, Mr. Councilman?
Johnny, good report. And I want to ask you a question. Can you get a water sample and tell if it's city water or spring water?
Yes.
If you do a test on it?
Yes.
Can you tell that?
Yes.
Okay.
You want me to explain how?
Yes,
All
yes.
right, well, in spring water is, there's no chlorine, there's no ammonia.
Right.
It's not treated. So when we test it for chlorine or ammonia, it will not have any reaction to it. It'll basically be raw water. It will not test, basically it will not test for chlorine.
Okay. Is that something that y'all have, a little test kit that
Yes.
y'all carry?
Yes.
And you don't have to send off, you can tell right then?
No, a lot of times whenever we check for water leaks, we do test for chlorine on the water leak just to make sure it's not a underground spring, or it's, could be just ground saturation. So we test it if we're not sure if it's a water leak or not.
Okay, okay. And then one other thing is, I remember at last meeting on Kent's city administrator report that you were going for your, try to get your A license,
Yes,
is
sir.
that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to commend you on that. I mean, that's gonna be tough and,
It's gonna be tough, yes.
yeah, yeah. But I want to commend you for going for that.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Yeah, that's all.
Okay.
Thank you, Johnny.
All right.
All right, thank you, Johnny. Okay. Number 7 is the engineer's report.
Yes, Mayor. Council, you have that engineer report before you. If you have any questions, either myself or Sue can answer those.
Come on in, sir. Just have a seat anywhere. Yes, ma'am. State your name and who you are, and bring the mic down to your face.
I can reach it. My name is Sue Hilton, and I am with MRB Group. So, I guess,
Does anyone have any questions for her? I
Questions?
think that's what she's waiting for, to see if there's any questions.
I mean, I will be back to discuss the proposed water well as another
Okay.
agenda item, but
Okay.
Any questions on the report that Tony put together on what we've been up to the last month?
So y'all mean y'all haven't been sitting around twiddling your thumbs?
I did spend part of the month of December on my back.
Okay, well, I know you broke your back.
I did.
Stringing Christmas lights, she fell off of a ladder and broke her back.
Just one vertebrae. That was all.
Well, one's enough. Mr. Wiggins, Councilman.
And on one of the items, and maybe Kent can clue in on this too, is that y'all were supposed to plan a meeting with the, about the easements out there.
Yes, sir.
Is there anything further on that? I noticed they've got it. MRB staff will be available at this meeting.
Yes, sir. That's still the current plan. We just received right-of-way maps earlier in the week. So we got those from TxDOT. Arm and Hunt is currently reviewing those, and
Okay.
we have some outstanding questions with our attorneys on the easement before we move forward with establishing that meeting with the landowners.
Okay. Okay, that's all.
Anyone
Thank
else
you.
have any more questions? Anyone from the citizens? Anybody? Okay, all right. We appreciate you coming out tonight. Thank you, ma'am. I hope that back gets well. All right, Community Development Report, Thomas Arnold.
Evening, ladies and gentlemen. Community Development Report for the month of December 2023. Code enforcement cases, we started with 56 active cases. That month, I closed 3 of them, opened 4 new ones, currently active 57. I had 6 office visits, 5 verbal notices or door hangers, and I had 1 cooperative inspection with McLennan County septic inspection. 0 citations written during that month. Number and types of cases closed, 2 rubbish, 1 no pull permit. Number and types of cases in court for the month of December was 2 high grass and weeds, 2 dogs at large, and 2 dangerous dogs. Long story short, nobody showed up, so they were either pushed back or warrants were put out. Number of types of cases opened, 2 rubbish, 2 no permits. Number of permits issued and type, I had 4 burn permits and 1 new single-family resident permit for the month of December. Inspections, 1 electrical, 4 burn, 1 accessory building, and 1 carport. Anybody have any questions? Thank you.
No, thank you, sir. Okay, number 9, our City Administrator, Kent Minton.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'll just try to hit the highlights here, then I can answer any questions that you might have. The first big one here is our sewer system. So Tabor and Associates was supposed to be coming back here in January. They're still on track to get everything wrapped up by the end of January, and we plan on tagging them on to the February the 1st special call meeting. It's going to be taking place at 10 a.m. So again, their plan there is to reduce the scope of the size of the sewer system and see if we can get it back down to our currently allotted budget from USDA. On the discharge permit renewal, so we did receive the renewed permit for the wastewater treatment plant from TCEQ. We are now good for another 5 years. We've already noted our important date calendar so that we can start this process over again in 2027. On to the water system. So just the first one, I want to say congrats to one of our other Public Works employees, Richard Sams. He passed his exam for his Class D TCEQ license this past week, so big kudos to him. Secondly, on our Friendly Oaks water well, we made a significant progress over this month, and I do still see us being able to get that back online in early February. Right now, Wallace does have the voltage meter currently installed. It's a temporary one. It's monitoring all the input of electricity onto the site. During the freeze, we did have a sight glass that ended up breaking on us, so they're working to repair that. Have reached out to the manufacturer of the VFD that we had installed over this past year, and we're going to try to get that tuned in. But those are some of the outstanding items that we have before we're comfortable getting this water well turned back on and seeing if all of our work is going to pay off this time. We sure are hoping for that.
Yes.
Jeez. Okay. And then I was informed by CEFCO today. They let me know that they are going to be moving forward without a tie-in to Miracle Lane. So we should be expecting a plat for their project over the next couple months. And then lastly, I just wanted to point out a couple of things to you here on my dashboard. You can see some of our trends there in our sales tax. We kind of average out at that $10,000 to $12,000 a month mark. We are expecting another bump here in May when Helena starts selling all of their seed and fertilizers for the year during spring. And then over here on this right-hand side, you'll just see of all of our departmental budgets to date. We're on track. We're right there at the 25% mark where we should be for this year. So with that, I will answer any questions that you have.
Does anyone have any questions for Kent, our administrator? Nope, don't look like it. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Moving right along. Thank you, Kent. Number 10, consent agenda. All items listed on the consent agenda will be considered by the city council and will be interacted on by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or a member of the public so request. A, approval of minutes. B, financial. C, Bluebonnet Director nominees. D, donation acceptance. E, write-off bad debts. Do we have anything, anybody want to pull anything out, or y'all want to make a motion to accept these?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion to accept by Mr. McGruer. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Wiggins seconded. All in favor? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay. Number 11, final plat and construction plans. It's the
I've been saying raging.
Ragin Plaza, okay? It's a travel center. Council discuss, consider, and possibly take the action on the final plat and construction plan submission for the Accent Travel Agents Center, property owned by Bruceville-Eddy Land Holding LLC, being a 12.8953 acre tract of the Samuel W. Davis Survey, abstract number 108,105. Further description as the Henry Astrew Survey, abstract number 396, further described at the ML and Hint Survey, abstract number 402 in the city of Bruceville-Eddy, McLennan County, and Falls Counties, Texas, being part of a called 22.95 acre described in a deed to KTVX Incorporation, as recorded in volume 294, page 764 of a deed records of Fall County, and a part of the call 7.28 acres, all described in a deed to Frank Mayburn Enterprise, INC, as recorded in volume 333, page 893 of the official records of Falls County, Texas, generally located southwest of the OKCN TV station on the south border side of I-35.
Just a little lengthy. Just a little weighty there. All right, Mayor, Council, community, it's great pleasure that I get to announce that we've made it to another milestone, another decision point here for Council on the Ascent Travel Center. So this facility would be 15,000 square feet, with about 2,500 square feet of that to be leased out. The total auto pump islands would be 8, and looking about 7 for big trucks. So our MRB group, our engineers have verified that all of the subdivision ordinances have been met for the issuance of this final plat before you. Further, all of the conditions from the preliminary plat that was approved back in May of this year have been rectified. And then the engineers have also verified that all adopted building codes have been met in the construction plan designs. So for anybody who's interested, this is the plat that's before council tonight. And if you'd like to, in the back table, we have the construction plans and the plat for your viewing. So council has 3 options to move forward with on the final plat here. We can approve fully. You can approve with conditions or disapprove. So just a note on that one. Again, so any action that we take to disapprove, we would have to provide a citation to law. It cannot be arbitrary, and the developer has no deadline to respond back to us, and we would have to act upon that within 15 days. So what I'm recommending tonight before you is a recommendation for conditional approval, contingent upon us having a signed easement for those utilities and the payment of any outstanding review fees that need to go to our engineering firm.
All right, do we have any questions? Mr. Wiggins, you're getting your mic.
Yes, ma'am. Well, you know, and I'm just going to read this here because I've thought about it and wrote it out, but as in accordance with Article 10 of Section 9 of Final Plat Construction Plans, which is our ordinance, and it states in part that the developer shall submit to the city secretary the final plat, complete sets of construction plans and specifications, and shall be filed at least 30 days prior to the date of the regular meeting of the city council at which consideration is requested. The plat shall carry the legend final plat. Submittal shall not be accepted and shall not be considered filed until a letter of transmittal requesting review and including payment of the required fees is delivered to and received by the city with the documents. With this said, I just received the final plat and construction plans yesterday afternoon, which are a total of 67 pages. And y'all can look at them back there on that table if you'd like. Therefore, I hadn't had enough time to review all the material. It's my understanding that a city engineer and city administrator only received an electronic version prior to them reviewing them and approving them. Our city administrator sent an email to the council members informing us of this fact and that if we wanted to come to his office and look at them, that he would put it on the big screen, blow it up for us. You know, and, you know, I told him then, I said, well, you know, first off, if I come up here, I'm taking up your time. We're going to get interrupted, you know. He's going to get phone calls, people are going to come in. So I'm going to feel rushed. I'm not going to do that. And there's a reason this ordinance is like this. It gives the council ample time to properly review the plat and plans. This acts as a checks and balance system that allows council more eyes on the issue at hand to properly review this matter. Without this, we solely rely upon our engineer for verification that everything is in order according to our ordinance. That's not how the protocol is set up. They have not paid all their fees associated with this project. One invoice dated December the 11th for $1,190 and another dated January 23rd for $1,230 for a total of $2,420 owed to the city. We need to be assured that these plat and construction plans will not be detrimental to the public safety, health, and welfare or injurious to other property. The council acted on the preliminary plat at our May 25th, 2023 meeting, at which they needed to meet many conditions prior to the approval of the final plat. Now, some 8 months later, to ask the council to approve something that we did not receive until about 24 hours prior to this meeting, which again is 67 pages, does not give us the allotted time frame to properly review the documents, and they have not paid all their fees, both of which is in direct violation of our ordinance. If we allow this, then we're setting a precedent to others that they don't have to abide by our own ordinance. So it's going to be my recommendation in making a motion that we do not approve this based upon the fact that this is a direct violation of our ordinance and that we send a letter to them stating the conditions to receive approval needs to be, number one, allow the council more time to review the final plat construction plans. Number two, for them to have all fees paid by the time this is brought up again. I think we should put this on our February 22nd regular scheduled meeting for further action. This will allow the council the time needed to properly review the documents and them more time to pay their invoices to the city.
That was your motion?
Yes, sir.
I'll
That was my
second.
motion.
Motion?
I'll second.
I made a motion.
That made a motion to
With discussion.
disapprove.
With discussion.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say that rules are there for a reason, and they're there to protect the people. And this is very disrespectful to every person that lives in Eddy and to every business owner who followed all the rules and did everything they were supposed to. And I don't think it should be approved.
You need to come to the mic, ma'am, and, because I'm sorry. Anytime you have an answer or a question, you have to come to the mic.
Okay.
I'm sorry about that. Just push it, there you go.
Well,
So what I'm saying is that rules and procedures are in place. They're put in place by government to protect the people, and the government is supposed to be of the people and for the people, and I believe that it's very disrespectful for these people to do what they're doing. It's disrespectful for every business that has followed the procedures and done the right thing. And I know that money's important, but it's not the most important. Integrity is important also.
Thank you,
I
ma'am.
got something, sir.
Okay.
That's why I said with discussion, I'll second it with discussion, because that's exactly what I was gonna say. If we hold one person, our citizens to an
So-
ordinance standard, and
Okay.
we should do it to the.
So do I have a second?
That was my second.
That's your second, okay?
Do you mind if I kind of fill in a little bit?
Yes,
on
you
that?
can
Sure.
finish
Okay.
everything.
So we do have ordinances in place. Some of those rules, however, are inconsistent with state law. They have not been updated yet. So I just want to go ahead and let council know that section 212 of the local government code says that within 30 days, council does have to take some sort of action, which you certainly can take that disapproval action. However, we do have to justify our reason for disapproval. And then that puts it back onto the developer for them to rectify this. But I'm trying my best to balance what our ordinance says with what state law says. And of course, state law overrides on this one. And it really doesn't give council a whole lot of discretion coming from the developer's side of things. It says within 30 days, you shall approve unless you have justification, significant justification. And I don't know if the fees that are going as a pass-through to our engineering firm really are going to justify for that, because they have paid up all of their preliminary plat fees that are established by ordinance.
This is final. This is final, has to do with final plats, and this is a final plat, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. So, again, part of the reason, let me restate that, is because we need more time to review it. Get 67 pages here
And sir-
in 24 hours, when our ordinance clearly says that it needs to get to us 30 days, and the reason, there's obvious reason for that.
Yes, sir, I completely understand the reasoning
Yes.
behind that ordinance where it says 30 days. However, you need to understand that the state legislature has changed those rules. And they say within 30 days, you have to make a decision, approve with conditions, or disapprove. So understand my plight when I'm asking a developer to submit those 30 days prior, and then I have to get it before you, council, to make a decision on that. Otherwise, it's automatically approved by right. So the ordinance probably needs to be updated to go along with state law, which controls on this one. I'm just bringing this up to council so that you know the developer could push back, and this has essentially a fast track to district court where they could receive some relief. So I just want to make sure that we're all aware of what we're doing here before we go down that path.
Yeah.
I have a question on the floor, ma'am. Would you come up and state your name? I have 2 questions on the floor.
Cherie McGruer, is this something that could be just postponed to the next special called meeting instead of all the way to the 22nd of February? That way you're still within a good working time frame?
Yes, the February 1st meeting would work for that.
Well, okay. Well,
I I have another question on the floor, sir. Yo, she answered it? Okay, Mr.
Okay.
Wiggins.
So with that said, when does this 30-day time limit start? Since, Ben, we just got the plans yesterday.
The state law does not specifically say whether those have to come through in hard copy or electronic. So I would go with the most conservative option when they submitted that to us electronically, which was sometime last week, so 30 days from that.
Yeah, but it has to be legible too for, I think, I think you have to be within reason here.
Sure.
They have to be legible for every council member.
Sure.
To be, and to, for every, if it was just a couple of pages, then every council member could blow it up on their own computer at home. But 67 pages, no, we don't have time.
Mr. McGurr? Councilman?
I think an issue here is the timeframes that we're dealing with. Okay, I understand that 67 pages may be unreasonable for someone to go through and approve or disapprove in a 24-hour period, but I also understand that we're locked in to that 30 days. So we have to be able to figure out something between when we received it and the 30 days.
Excuse me. We're talking up here. If y'all would please keep it down in the audience, please. Thank you.
So our timeframes are issue right now. If we disapprove this and you say don't bring it back till the 22nd, then we're going to exceed those timeframes, and the issue's moot at that point because it's automatically approved.
So I will clarify on that one. If council makes action to disapprove tonight, that satisfies the 30-day requirement. So you're good on that.
Okay.
Yes. Now what we need to do as staff, we have to provide that justification for why we're disproving it. So we need to make sure that we're providing a citation to law, whether that's in ordinance or that's state law, and then put that back on the developer to rectify those.
Can I maybe let me reread that motion and listen to it and see what you think about it, because what I'm saying is that I make a motion that we do not approve this based upon the fact it's a direct violation of our ordinance, and that we send them a letter stating the conditions to receive approval needs to be, number one, allow the council more time to review the final plat construction plans. Number two, for them to have all fees paid by the time this is brought up again. And then it was just my suggestion that we bring it up at our February 22nd meeting, because I know we have a meeting in February the 1st, but, I don't know, that's not like it's that long away. And, I don't know if I don't know everybody's schedule, and, fortunately, I just don't have every day that I can sit down all day long and read these. I have other things to do too. So we can work something out there if it needs to be the 15th or whatever to give us a little bit more time besides the 1st. We can do that. But again, it was stating that the conditions to receive approval needs to be.
I have a question.
And that's written right out of our ordinance, by the way.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Ken, are you saying that our city ordinance is not legal?
That is what I'm saying.
Okay. So we can't go by our city ordinance?
I'm saying that the provision there where it requires us to ask the developer to submit it 30 days prior does not give us, council, enough time to hear and approve, conditionally approve, or disapprove. So those timelines do not line up. So essentially, it is not legal.
Okay.
Pam, you want to come up?
Is this like 30 days, working days? Because if so, the 22nd would be about 21 days if you don't call Saturday and Sundays from today's date.
I'm not 100% sure on our, you mean on our ordinance or on state law?
Well, state law, because it's given, or even ours, 30 days. We normally don't count weekends.
Sure,
So
sure.
if you wait till the next meeting, it would be 20-something days.
Right.
Within the 30 days.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah. That, I think that one's probably up for interpretation on that one. I don't know if either the ordinance or the state law says business days, it just says days.
Okay, well, what if we do this then? You check with our attorney and tell us when that, get back to us and tell us when the 30 days is up. But in the meantime, we can go ahead and say here that we'll push it back to whatever that, right around the 30th day. I don't care if it's a 28 or 27, but give us a little bit more time. That's all we're asking. I'm not sitting here and saying, no, I don't want to approve this. All I'm saying is I need more time to look at this.
Yes, sir.
That's not enough time, and I don't believe that's unreasonable.
No, that we can certainly do.
Yeah.
Councilman Prater?
I'm looking at this, I'm willing to go with what our engineers say. The only objection I got against this was our ordinance and for the 30 days. That I just wanted it fair for our citizens also. Me looking at all this stuff, 61 pages of it, I can tell you right now, I'm not gonna be able to tell you hide or hair between an engineer and somebody else's report, but the only problem I got with it was our ordinance. And if our ordinance isn't law anyway, then I'll pull my second.
Okay. Right. Ma'am, you have a question?
We have the representatives from the company here tonight?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Would they be willing to extend the time period for it to be reviewed and it not cross hairs with the state provisions versus our provisions? They may be willing, I don't know.
So we could certainly reach out to them and ask that. However, they did show up at the last council meeting and relayed to council that their loan was about to expire, and so they were asking for attention to this as soon as possible.
Okay, because I thought it expired this month anyway, like
Yes.
the 29th or something like that.
I think they have a short extension on it,
Okay.
from my understanding. I couldn't tell you the
Okay.
date on that, though.
I think it was the 19th. I think it's already done.
Yes, ma'am, you have a question?
Do you know why the company hasn't met the conditions that you expect from all the other companies? Like why it took them so long to submit the plat, and then why they haven't paid the fee? Because I appreciate Mr. Wiggins being careful in this matter. And I want a gas station too. But I think there's been too many lawmakers in our country in general voting on things that they haven't looked at. And that's one reason that I appreciate what he's doing. I would expect each and every one of you to look at it and not just vote it based on what the people that are wanting to bring it here say. And it makes me question the company if they haven't paid the fees and if they waited so long to submit what they were, the 67 pages. I don't understand that.
So I can speak to that a little bit more. Thank you. Yes, I can speak to that a little bit more. So this company came to us, I'd say, in December of 2022 is when they began this process. So they have had some hiccups with the submissions that we've requested. We've gone back and forth with them. Some miscommunications probably on our end and on their end. However, they did get to a point where they got that preliminary plat approval with conditions. Our engineers had reviewed and signed off at that point. And so we've been working on the construction plans now for over a year. The preliminary plat took about 5-6 months, and the final plat took, 7 months or so to get wrapped up. This thing's gone under 4 different reviews from our engineers, so I'm bringing it before council tonight, and yes, I wish we had more time for council to review. I really do. However, myself and our engineering group both believe that this thing is about 99% done with the review, and the fees that we have outstanding are for our pass-through ordinance, which was put into place last year to cover developers such as this. So that's what they have left to pay, is a couple invoices. They've already paid over $12,000 to date, and they've been pretty good about paying those in a timely fashion. The fees that were established for the plat itself were paid from the very beginning. So that was back in April or something like that. So they've been paid up on ordinance fees for the city since then. So I hope that clarifies a little bit.
Sir, you have a question? You'll have to come to the mic, sir. Sorry about that.
That's all right. My name's Gary Compton. I just have one question. What do we got to do to bring our ordinance up with the state ordinance so we'd make it easier on all the units? That's my only question.
Sure, we'd probably just have to shorten that timeline.
Mr. McGruer, you had your hand up first.
One of the things that I'm hearing here is that we're, as council members, going to review this. We pay money to have engineers who are actually qualified to review these things and to write a report back to us, separate of the company who's submitting this to us. Those engineers work for us. We pay them to review these documents. I'd like to think that I know a lot about a lot of things, but if I sit and look at a drawing and I look at the plat plan, I have a general idea of what the plat plan is, but I don't have specific knowledge that an engineer does. So when the engineer gives me a report and said this is in compliance with the universal construction regulations and it is in compliance with state laws and things like this, I'm going to rely on that. So I'm not arbitrarily making the decision. I'm making a decision based on people who have the information to tell me the right thing. Am I going to get told once in a while the wrong thing? Possibly, but you can only rely on what you're paying for someone who has the knowledge to tell me what I need.
Councilman Wiggins?
Yes. Well, I believe we have to do our job as councilmen. And if that means we're required, there's a process in place for the councilman to look at it. That don't mean that you're qualified or that you're going to know everything. But it also means more sets of eyes on the situation. If it was just like you're talking about, we could just rubber stamp everything. Why would that even, we wouldn't even need that. We'd just say if the engineers okayed it, then it's good to go. Don't even bring it to council. But that wasn't the way it's set up. And I think it needs to be set up. It's set up that for a reason. I can look at it. Now, I might not know everything I'm looking at, but I might be asking some questions about it. And when I ask questions, it might spur somebody else to think about it and ask questions. That's kind of the way the process is. But now, as far as this timeline goes about our ordinance not up to date with the state, then we need to fix that. And then going forward, I would suggest that our city administrator, anytime going forward, then you need to tell us when the time limit is on the project, not wait till we get here and then say. Because you don't know when the time limit is, but you need to know that when you come here. And so going forward, anytime we have a project like this, then we need to know when the time limit is, and we don't need to have the council meeting for that on that date. We need to have it ahead of time, a little bit ahead of time. But we also need to get the plans and not dropped on us right here like this. Not that many pages anyway. That's unreasonable and uncalled for. So to me, I think we're just tied up on the timeline here. I don't think it's a big issue to put it off and to give us more time to look at it. It's just, let's find out when that timeline ends. And if it's like Pam said, that she felt like that if you don't count the weekends, then that 22nd will be fine. But if you do, it won't. And then maybe if we push it to the 15th, that should be okay. I don't know. But you should have known that.
Okay, Joyce, you had a question?
Well, just a comment, actually. If I was building something personally, building a house or something, I would not, if the engineer and the contractor said, we've looked at everything and it's all okay, I wouldn't rubber stamp it. I would want to see what they come up with, how they were gonna do it, what kind of materials they were gonna use, and all of that. And so I feel like our citizens deserve us looking at what these people are gonna do. And I've looked at some of it, but I haven't been able to look at all of it. And I've already found things that I would like to ask questions of the engineers on myself. And I don't know a lot about the schematics, but I know enough to figure some things out about the driveways and all of that. And so I'm like Mr. Wiggins. I feel like the council should have time to look at these drawings and schematics and make sure they're what we want.
Okay, right now, I'm gonna ask the councilman, would y'all like to move into an executive session and discuss this further?
Well, and I'll just second that, Mayor, that council, if you would like to discuss with our attorney some of these timelines and some of the different options that you have for approving, disapproving plats, we can certainly set that up right now. I can see if Brad's available to discuss.
Would y'all like to do that?
Otherwise, we do have a motion on the table too.
Mr. Prater said he'd like to do that.
So-
Well, he withdrew his second.
Oh, did you withdraw that? Okay.
So do y'all wanna, everybody agree,
Sure,
Joanne?
well, then we
Okay.
can find out.
All right.
Maybe.
It is now 6:51, and we are closing this council meeting, and we're going into executive session. We'll be back when it's over. Turn your mics off, gentlemen. We are going in there so we can talk to our city attorney, ask him some questions about this before we make decisions. Of section, one moment, please. 551.071, consultation of the attorney, consultation with the attorney. So thank you.
back on? Okay. I'm too short. Okay. So, kind of have a little bit of an agenda here. Going to talk about where we started with the different site options that we looked at, kind of how we got to picking those particular site options. Talk about the advantages and disadvantages of each one of the sites that we looked at. I have some preliminary layouts that we did for each one of the sites. Talk about the anticipated well capacity, and then I'll finish with the probable construction costs. So, we started with, I think there was about 5 different sites that we went out and did a field trip to. Couple of them, we knew right away that there was going to be some issues getting permitted from TCEQ, so we didn't take those to any further consideration. We retained LRE Water, which is a hydrogeologist firm, to help us look at TCEQ requirements, look at the availability of water within the various geologic formations, and then also to estimate what they felt like would be a potential well yield for each one of the sites. So I'm going to go on to my next one. Hopefully that's not too dark to see. But we looked at 3 different sites. We called Site 1, right south of where the park is currently. Yep, that does make it a little nicer. Thank you. Then we called it Site 2, which is, we called north of FM 1239. That one has existing gas transmission facilities on it currently. And then the third site that we looked at, kind of all the way out on highway number 7. So, what I think I'm going to do is kind of, you have in front of you, I gave you copies, the advantages and disadvantages of each of the sites. And I know there's some extra copies around, so I was going to bring up the site plan as I talked about it. So this one, kind of a potential layout, what we have shown here, does this have a pointer to it? Am I going to screw it up by, oh, there we go. Okay, I got it now. So what we have shown here, the well, kind of in the bottom center of the site, actually. From the well, the water goes to the ground storage tank into the booster pump station. Right now, we have a hydropneumatic tank shown on this site for pressure. That will be determined during final design whether we spend a little bit more money for the pumps to pressurize it, or if the pneumatic tank makes sense. In each one of the sites, we have the same components. We didn't change components, same size, same booster pump station. So as we looked at the sites, the advantages of this site was our hydrogeologist liked this site the best. It was a well that would be about 2,200 feet. It met all of TCEQ setback requirements. It is not near any sort of known geological fault. So there's always a risk when you drill that you get near a geological fault, and you can end up drilling the well and not being able to get any groundwater out of the well. We have a nice 8-inch sized water main on Hungry Hill Road that this could connect to. So the disadvantages of this site are the difficulty to get there. And it's not overly difficult, it's not overly complicated, it's just a long driveway. Whether you come through the ball fields or we go to the east, kind of along the edge of the farmland there. We also have a drainage, oops, oh, now see, I didn't know what I was driving here. We have a drainage swale through here, kind of, natural runoff. So there will be a culvert necessary to get the driveway across that drainage swale in order to get access. And then we're not too far from a creek, so we want to make sure that we locate the well as high on that site as we possibly can, just to avoid any sort of flooding issues. So then with site number 2, this is the one that's north of Duty Park, or no, 1239. Yes. So this is the one that has the existing gas transmission facilities on it. Those will pose a little bit of a challenge. I'm sure that there are existing easements that have been granted to the gas company that we'll have to work around. We do know that there's a gas main that crosses kind of east-west through the site, so we would have to bore underneath the gas main with our water main. But this site has some advantages in the fact that it is the furthest one from a known geological fault. It's also the furthest from your other wells in the city that could cause some interference, where it would result in a little bit less yield out of the well. It's a distance away from any sort of creek, which is nice. We don't have any flooding concerns. And other than the fact that TCEQ has a requirement that you have to be 150 feet from a gas main, this is laid out to be 150 feet, but they also will take a second look at it because they do have gas transmission facilities within a quarter of a mile. So in general, this one will also suit your needs. So then we looked at the third site, which is north of Highway 7, as we called it. This site actually laid out the nicest. It's where we could get closest to the road. It is high, no concerns with flooding, no TCEQ setback requirements that can't be met. However, the major hiccup with this site is that it is directly adjacent to a known geological fault. So what that can do for a well is that it can either increase your yield substantially, or if you're on the wrong side of the fault, you can get no water out of a well. So this one by far is the riskiest of all the wells that we looked at, all of the sites to look at. It is the one that is the most costly because contractors are going to put a premium on drilling that close to a known fault. And then the other complication with this site is that the water main that exists on Route 7 that we would be tying into is only a 4-inch water main. And that 4-inch is not sufficiently sized. So when we look at replacing that 4-inch back to where we get to a 6 or an 8-inch, you're looking at about 8,000 feet worth of water main along Route 7 that would need replacement. So next, kind of looking at the anticipated well capacity that our hydrogeologists put together. You have 2 different formations below these sites. The Hensel Sand Formation, which is about 1,600 feet below the ground surface, and then the Austin Formation, which is about 2,000 feet below the ground surface. The yields are greater the deeper that you go. What I've shown there is the 300 gallons per minute at Site 1 and 2 in the Austin Formation is the conservative estimate. You could, because you're going to have some interference when your other city wells are running, you're going to get a little bit lower. But like I note here that if, you know, your city wells are not, the other wells that are going to interfere are not running, you could get approximately another 125 gallons per minute out of the well. So then it becomes more of a timing issue in a recharge of the aquifer. And I guess I will also point out that although educated, it is a guess at capacity. You know, it's a guess at, you know, looking at other wells that have been drilled surrounding the area, how deep the sand was, you know, that type of stuff all factor into that. So your specific capacity isn't determined until you actually put the hole in the ground. And then finally, as we looked at each of these sites, obviously the cost, the major cost differences between the sites were the depth of the well. Site 3 is a little bit deeper. It's also got that premium for drilling right next to a known fault. The access road being a little bit longer in Site 1, that affected that cost. So those are kind of the factors that kind of skew, you know, changed the different sites. Ultimately, like I said, the hydrogeologist recommended Site 1. Site 1 will work, Site 2 will work. I'm not going to recommend Site 3. So, and I will be putting our detailed report together, and I will email that to Kent. Each one of the sites has a different depth for the well. They don't differ substantially with the exception of Site 3. That one's quite a bit deeper.
Okay, that, and what I'm reading this is an anticipated well capacity, which got the 3 sites. And, you know, one of them, like they say, the estimated well depth in the Hensel Sand Formation feet, you know, right there.
Yep.
Okay, if I'm understanding this right, if we take the third one down, Austin Formation, all of that along there is roughly around 2,000 feet.
Correct.
And that's going to yield approximately 300 gallons a minute for site 1. Is that right?
Correct.
I'm looking at it.
Yep.
Okay, so, you know, look, and then the cost, just for this, okay, the cost on that, is that, like, for example, that site 1, you got 4,815,000. Is that for the 2,000 roughly feet?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, so all of those costs are for the most footage?
The deeper well,
Deeper
yes.
well, okay.
It seemed prudent to drill the extra
Yes.
400 feet to get that many more gallons per minute.
Yes, ma'am. I would agree. So based upon y'all's opinion and geologist, whatever,
I know, that's a mouthful. Hydrogeologist.
second one.
Site 1.
Okay, it's site 1 is what he recommends.
That was the recommendation from the hydrogeologist. There are there are things that you should consider when you look at the 3 sites. You know, we don't have any understanding of land acquisition costs. You know, if there's any, you know, one site is better than another from a cost to acquire the property. Site 1 has got a couple of different, not just the site, but we've also got to be able to get the water main from the site across the ball field, across another property to be able to get to the street. So there's some easement costs there that we don't have a good understanding that would push site 1 versus site 2 for us. Looking at it from the site civil side of things.
Okay, all right. Sir, you have a question? Yeah, was she finished with his answer? She has finished with the Councilman Wiggins's answer. Oh, she answered it. Oh, okay. Thank you, sir. Oh, yeah, okay. Go ahead. Yes. All right. Anybody else have any more questions? Okay. Yes, sir.
Did we look into the other groundwater wells from neighboring communities, like the Seco Durango water well? Were we taking that into account with the drawdowns and?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
You'll see all of that if you read that far into our report. and
Okay,
it doesn't
thank
put
you.
to sleep.
Is there any more questions about the water wells? Okay, all right. Sir, you have a question now, sir, about water wells? Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Or a statement, can I do that, Ms. Mayor? Honorable Council, I've been pretty sick, but when I saw this on the agenda tonight, I didn't know y'all were gonna try to decide. So like the lady said, it's the best educated guess. And like Mr. McGrew and Mr. Wiggins said about the qualified people. Now, they're educated, but maybe they don't have quite the experience of the boots on the ground. I've had 50 years here. I know this system. Now, the higher you go in elevation, the deeper you got to dig. They call it a little different things here than we call it. It's the first Trinity, which is from 1,100 to 1,800 feet. The second Trinity is from 1,800 to 22. The well behind my house, they dug it to 22, and they filled it in to 2,000. I understand about access, but these 3 sites are not your best place, in my opinion. He's an educated, informed, experienced person here. Now, y'all make your decision, but I'm here to, everybody's got an opinion, and education is important, but you got to get out here and put boots on the ground like the Marines, and you got to know the system, and I'm very pleased with MRB, but they're new. The second site on 1239 is not far from your best site, and I'm going to tell you why. Because there's already a 6 there, and the Hungry Hill don't have no big line. They got a 2 or 3, so you're going to have to put a big line down there to tie it into the system down here at 107 and 1239. There's already a 6 out so far around where the gas main is. And if you're going around them double corners and go down to Channel 6 property, it drops. And you got 440, it goes 438 back to Bruceville Lane, and out 7. And then you go back to the south, it's 439 and 437 comes back to 451, 452. You can go both ways. So I just wanted to tell you, I'm an old man, but I got a lot of experience. And people, professionals, I'm a professional. There's several of you here are. But experience is the best teacher, in my opinion. And I'm not trying to be rude, but I'm very irritated, agitated, and upset. But I didn't want to come. But I didn't know y'all were going to talk about this and that. I'm sorry, but I had to come give you my opinion.
Okay, thank you, sir. We appreciate it. Is there any more questions? Any more questions, Mr. Wiggins?
Okay. I mean, this is a very important issue with us, our city, and there's a lot to think about. And, you know, we just got this stuff dropped on us. So, I think we need to table this and give us time to study the issue and think about it a little bit more, and maybe talk to some people, and then come back to the table with it, if that'd be okay.
Yeah, as it says, it says to take action to review the recommendation, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. So again, I'll just make a motion, table it.
Okay? All right, we have a second. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, sir. All right, moving right along. Agenda 13, agreement for professional services, Bureau Veritas. There you go, Veritas, North America, INC. Council discuss, consider and possibly take action to approve the city administrator to enter into an agreement with Bureau Veritas, North America, INC Incorporation, for the purpose of providing supplemental building inspection services. Okay, Kent?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a brief presentation from myself, and then I'll bring Mo up from BV to discuss a little bit about what we're proposing for council tonight. So Mr. James Redden has been providing inspection consulting services to the city since mid-2022. He did let us know this month that he was no longer able to assist in that capacity. So Bureau Veritas has extensive experience performing inspections in the area. They constantly do work with some of our neighboring communities, so they're available to provide us with supplemental services as needed. Of course, Thomas Arnold is our full-time building inspector. However, he's not able to approve anything with plumbing included in that due to state law. So what we're proposing to you is a full service agreement here that would allow us to utilize any of BV's services. However, for staff, we're really just going to be looking at mainly that backup inspection fee cost. We just need them as a supplemental basis. Sometimes there could be some bigger projects where we might want to pull in a full-time or a full inspection consulting company here to be able to go and provide those services. But for the most part, it's just going to be supplemental. So these costs right now are going to be included in our current fee structure, and this would just allow us to continue the process of training our current staff member in these building inspection activities. They've fully agreed to allow us to tag along with them on any inspection that they do in the city of Bruceville-Eddy. So our recommendation on this one is to approve it. Mo, you want to come on up?
My real name's Mike Olson, but everybody's called me
Called
Mo
you Mo.
for 30 years, so we're just gonna stick with it.
Yes, sir.
I'm the Regional Director of Operations for BV. It's easier to say BV than Bureau Veritas. Everybody gets it
Thank you.
mixed up different ways. I've been with BV for 3 years. Prior to that, I was with the City of McGregor as their Director of Community Development for 21 years. So I've been in this area for quite a while. I live outside of Lampasas, so I'm close, but yet far enough away. Just what the city administrator said, this is more of a backup. The one thing like he put up there is the plumbing. That's required by state law. You can't even look at plumbing without a license, even as an inspector. If we're not licensed, we don't. Every inspector that we currently have on staff are licensed plumbing inspectors. They're running up and down the I-35 corridor. Just to kind of give you an example of cities that we do in this local area: Loreno West, Marlin, Riesel, Waco. We actually have a contract with Waco, McGregor, Crawford. So we have some, Gatesville. So we have an inspector that is in this area daily. The other part that he put on there about the training and the backup, as we come in, if we're needed for plumbing, we will call Mr. Arnold and say, hey, we'll be there in about 30 minutes, so that he can meet up with us, and that training will help him further his education to get that plumbing license, which is not an easy thing to do. And there's a lot of hours that you have to have. Well, this will help those hours. Again, the other thing he said is some of the bigger projects. There's sometimes that those bigger projects want to move faster than what you can handle it. Well, we're there to help you in that aspect also. The other good part I'd say about ours is if you don't use us, you don't pay us. We don't have a retainer fee. We don't have any of that. It's when you use us, we're going to charge you. He did say it was a full service, so just to kind of give you that list of stuff that you've probably seen, building, fire, planning and zoning, health, every aspect of it. The only thing we don't do is code enforcement. You can have it all. We don't want none of that part. But with my experience in being in it, I brought Brian Ellis. He's the actual area manager. So he handles this. I handle Waco, Austin, and San Antonio. So I'm over all that. So, but he feels that I do better at this talking than he does. So that's why I get to come up here and be the guinea pig. If y'all have any questions, I can answer any of them to the extent. If I don't know the answer, I'll get it to you.
All right. Okay, so is there any questions? Mr. Wiggins?
Where y'all's, you said just located around Lampasas, like if we need somebody to do an inspection on a house, where does that person have to come out of? We would call you, would that be the first step?
The first step would be is once you found that out, there's an inspection hotline or an email that the city would send to us, either Thomas or the city manager, and they'd say, hey, I need this backup inspection. If you get it to us by 4 o'clock today, you're guaranteed to have someone here tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, where does that person have to come out of?
It doesn't matter. In the Waco area. So he
Okay.
might come from Austin. So I've got 2 inspectors. One lives outside of Salado, one that lives in Austin. I've got 3 that live in Lampasas. I've got 1 that lives in Gatesville.
Okay.
I've got 1 that lives in McGregor. I've got 1 that lives in Corsicana. So we have them all around. It just depends on what their workload is that day. We assign them. They have from Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 to get that inspection completed.
Okay, is there any fee involved as far as mileage? Okay, that's built into the.
That's built into
Right.
it. So a backup inspection on residential is $76.92. That's all I'm gonna charge you, $76.92 for him to come. If it's a commercial inspection, it's $125.
Okay.
That's just our fee schedule. But it's
What if
one
somebody
time.
wants to go come out and they need to inspect the plumbing on a 2,000 square foot house?
$76.92.
Okay. And y'all, as I see, y'all are like a one-stop shop. Y'all
We do it.
Do everything.
We do it all. We
Yeah.
start, the client cities that we currently have, a lot of them, they have us do what they call plan review. So we look at the plans.
Cool.
Then we do all the inspections, so it's one package and
Right.
it makes it easier. But on this thing, what we had talked about was just the backup to help him get trained and to work on getting his plumbing license. So that's kind of the help. Or if he has an issue that he doesn't quite understand, we're a phone call away.
All right.
Thomas were to be out for an extended period of time, this would also serve that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Prater, Councilman?
What was Mr. Redding charging us?
That's.
Thomas, do you mind answering that one a little bit?
I want to say $85. So.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was.
$85.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Mr. Redding was just doing plumbing, correct?
He was also advising on other things as well, but for the most part, yes, he was doing plumbing. But
Okay.
if it was a grouped inspection, like a FE&P framing, mechanical, electrical, plumbing inspection, he would do it all and help. Basically, he was training me just as they would. They're just going to pick up the ball and keep rolling with it.
Good deal. All right.
Don't leave. I
have a question from the city. Citizen, a city citizen.
Okay, Mo, got a question for you. So I have my inspection and I fail. Is there a re-inspect cost?
So, because that we're doing this under the backup scenario of it, every time that we come up on the backup side of it, it's $76.92.
Yep.
That's what our backup fee is. If we had the whole project, everything's included. There's no reinspection fees, there's no nothing, and I'm just gonna use y'all's, whatever that is back there, that y'all were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
So the travel center, so if we did that, we're gonna give you a fee, and just say it's, hey, it's $4,000 for plan review and all the inspections. I go back as many times as I have to, we don't charge you re-inspect, we don't do that. That would be a city thing, not us as a company.
Okay.
But that's when we have the whole project, not
Right.
just
Pieces.
backups.
Pieces.
Pieces, yes.
And we do charge a re-inspect fee.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Mr. Wiggins?
This question is for Thomas.
Okay.
Thomas, out of respect for you, because you would be working with them, going with them. So I'd like to know what you think.
Actually, I'll speak of what happened a couple of days ago when Mr. Redden told me he was unable to make it out. Of course, at that time, I thought it was just a one-shot deal. I called Mo up and asked him to help, and he called one of his guys, and they were here within 30 minutes. And the guy met me out on the job site, walked through, pointed to everything. I mean, when I had questions, he answered them. They're good folk.
Yeah. And Mr. Redden, he wouldn't come out until after around 5:30 or so.
That's correct. That's
And that would
that's
cause
another
him to do
pro
comp time.
versus con with Mr. Redden versus this company.
Yeah.
They'll do it during hours, so I won't. I won't
Mr.
get
Redden
my-
was kind of doing it on the side because he had a full-time job.
Yes, sir. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay. So what?
I'll
Make a motion, Mr. Wiggins?
Yes, I'll make I'll make a motion that sounds good. Thomas, they've worked with him, and they're local. So I'll make a motion that we approve the city administrator to enter into an agreement with BV for the purpose of providing supplemental building inspection services.
I'll-
Okay. Okay. All in favor? Unanimous? Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Ken,
guys
got
for
that?
coming.
Thank y'all for coming. You too, sir. Okay, a public hearing, water meter moratorium. Council to hear public comments pertaining to the insurance of a water meter moratorium in the portion of Falls County that is east of Interstate Highway 35 and outside the corporate limits of the city, and properties abutting Bruceville Lane in McLennan County. Okay, Kent, you want to say something on that, and then we can take.
So Mayor, this is the public hearing. If you would just go ahead and establish the time and open it up.
Okay, yeah, it is now 7:36 and our regular meeting is over. It is 7:36 and our public is open. Okay. So anybody have any questions? Anybody want to talk about this? Going once, going twice. It is now 7:36 and the public hearing is closed. It is now 7:36 and our regular council meeting is back open. Yes, we'll go to, yes. The public hearing is open to any, they've already done that one. The water meter moratorium. Council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on ordinance 1-24-2024-1, issuing a development moratorium in the portion of Falls County that is east of Interstate Highway 35 and outside the corporate lines of the city and properties abutting Bruceville-Eddy Lane in McLennan County.
Thank you, Mayor. So no action is being sought from council tonight. We're simply having our first reading of the ordinance. I'll go ahead and proceed with the caption here. An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Bruceville-Eddy, Texas, enacting a temporary moratorium on the issuance, authorization, and approvals of new water meters on residential and commercial properties within certain portions of the city limits, ETJ, and CCN, the city's water service area, providing findings of fact, applicability, purpose, enactment, duration, extension, and exceptions, and waivers, providing for severability, repealer enforcement, proper notice of meeting, and an effective date. So one more item on here, just attachment A, our justification for the moratorium. There's a shortage of essential public facilities separate and independent hydraulic analysis commissioned and completed by 2 separate and independent registered engineering firms with the state of Texas. Portions of the Bruceville-Eddy water system have been found to be deficient to provide proper pressure and distribution capacity, and that certain essential public water infrastructure supply and improvements are inadequate and insufficient to adequately serve new development. The findings from the aforementioned analysis were presented by both oral report and supporting documentations to the public and council at meetings held on November 16, 2022 and October 12, 2023 by Tabor Associates and MRP Group respectively. It has been determined that the forward pressure plane and water distribution lines east of I-35, with few exceptions, have facilities operating near, at, or beyond capacity. This has resulted in all property located within the aforementioned area being insufficient of existing essential public facilities, and thus it has been denied for further development. The City of Bruceville-Eddy does not currently have any revenue from established impact fees. Information and additional support has been requested to begin this process for the creation of this essential funding mechanism. Lastly, the City of Bruceville-Eddy has been making significant strides towards improving the distribution of water in the affected service area. It has been engaging with engineering firms on the issue and currently has improvement plans under design and easement acquisition.
All right, do I have a motion or questions? Anywhere? Mr. Wiggins, you got your mic?
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 1-25-2024-1.
Excuse me, sir.
I'm sorry.
That is ordinance 1-24.
Oh, mine says 25. I'm sorry.
That's okay, sir.
Typo. 1-24 -2024-1.
Yes, sir.
That was a typo on my side, sir.
Oh,
Okay, so which one is it?
I thought
Is it
today's the
25 or 24?
25th.
Today is the 25th, and it should have been labeled as 25. However, it has been labeled 24. So the ordinance number is 1-24-2024-1.
Okay,
Like it
that's
is
the
in
one I
agenda.
want to approve.
Okay. All right, do we have a second?
I'll second. Oh, go ahead.
Okay, Joyce, second that. All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Okay, sewer discussion. Union Pacific Railroad Crossing Agreement. Council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action regarding the responsibility parties for the renewals of the agreement with Union Pacific Railroad Company for railroad crossing related to the designed sanitary sewer conveyance pipeline.
Mayor, Council, thank you so much. So this is a follow-up to a request from a council meetings ago for the Union Pacific Railroad crossing agreements. So just as a reminder, Union Pacific does require written agreements for infrastructure that's placed along or across their property. We had 5 agreements that were required based on our original sewer designs. I'm not exactly sure how that's all going to shake out now that we're shrinking the size, but an application for these costs and agreements was paid in July of 2021. You'll see the keyword there, the application cost. So the second one there is application was approved in January of 2022, and the fees for the agreements were paid in February of the same year. So I've got that cost breakdown of what we paid to date before you there, Council. So the original agreement is dated 8/16/2021 with a term that ran to 8/16/2022. So according to the representative from Union Pacific, they had the ability to extend this original agreement by 1 year at no cost. So that would have got us to 8/16/2023. Here's a breakdown of what we've paid to Union Pacific for the right to pass their land for the sewer system to date. So we had the original cost of those applications, the original cost of those agreements, and then more recently, the cost to extend those agreements until this year. So we did take a look at our engineering agreement with Tabor and Associates for this one, and it does not specifically address who is responsible for keeping up with the renewal dates for these permits. So from what I'm seeing, it appears that without that being laid out, it does appear that this would fall on the city to keep track of.
Okay.
So keep in mind that these agreements are only extended till 8/16/2024, and we will have to renew and pay additional fees once more if construction has not been completed. The renewal deadlines have been added to our calendar of
Any questions?
If we're in construction.
Mr. Prater?
If we're in construction of it, or will we still have to pay that if the construction's going on?
I think that would exempt us from the
Okay.
cost of renewing that, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
All right.
Any other questions? Okay, no more questions at this time. So do we have a motion?
Or what?
Well,
We've
it
paid
says,
the
it says
fees.
to discuss, consider, and possibly take action. So, I mean, it's asking for some action to be taken, or it can be passed.
Not necessarily have to have any action, just put
Okay.
that on there for council if that's all.
Okay, so, yeah, well, we need, if we're not gonna take action on something, that needs to be kind of worded different a little bit on each meeting. Okay? All right, thank you. All right, so no action, so we're not doing anything now, we're just approving all your things up there that we've done, correct? Okay. All right, 17. Interlocal agreements for street repair. At the recommendation of the Street Repair Committee, council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action to approve the city administrator to enter into an interlocal cooperative agreement with McLennan County for the purpose of authorizing McLennan County Precinct 1 road and bridge crew to reclaim, set up, prime, and/or chip seal named streets in an estimated amount of $41,312.75. Tongue twister here. Yes, sir.
It's certainly been important to council, our committees on street repair and the budget that we continue to prioritize these streets. Just for all the citizens to be aware of, in 2021, that budget was about $12,000. That has increased this past year to over $36,000, and this year we're up to $70,000. And so we just, my plan is to continue recommending to council that we continue to up that up and make the streets our priority here. Just some background on this. Street Repair Committee was composed of council members, staff, and citizens. They met 2 times, starting this past November. Members went into the field and saw the streets in need of repair firsthand. So this is what that preliminary report of streets in need of repair looked like. These were some of the ones that staff created, just to kind of give a guide to the committee to go out and study. A lot of these had been suggested or recommended from citizens throughout the year. I've kind of been keeping a tally. So eventually the committee did select these streets here for a cost estimate from McLennan County. And then once we got those numbers back, we had a good discussion on this one. So, but we also had to line that up with our budget, and we also had to line that up with our sewer right-of-way map and look and make sure that we're not necessarily going to be going down an entire stretch of road that's going to be just torn back up for the sewer right. So we tried to find a good balance for that. We also, it was also important to the committee that they try to find a good balance between the streets in Bruceville and the streets in Eddy. So the final selection for the street repair committee there was to reseal Osborne and reseal Temple Street, and then to overhaul Pine Street, which will include an addition of 12 inches of base. It's probably one of our bigger costs for the year. And the overhaul of Gurley. The total estimated cost here is $41,312. That is subject to change a little bit from the county if some of their costs exceed. But what that'll end up doing is leaving us about $17,000 left for patching for the year. So what we'll do is we'll push the reseal of those remaining streets that we did this past year, that'd be Archie, North Mesquite, Crescent Meadow, to the next budget and try to rope those in there. That way we're making sure we have longevity on these streets. Construction probably won't begin on this until summer. I think that was about the timeline from last year. And then just another note that our committee has requested that we move forward with proposals to look at the budgeted Durapatcher machine that we have on hand for the fiscal year. So you can see down there at the bottom, budget committee is requesting for approval by council on this.
Okay. Yeah. We have anybody that wants to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion that we accept that.
Okay, all right. Prater and McGruer. Okay, all in favor? Unanimous, thank you, gentlemen. Yes, ma'am?
Can I say something regarding the streets?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm glad y'all are gonna work on those streets, but it said there was gonna be money left over for patching. I have to travel Old Moody Road practically every day, and it's getting really bad, and with all the recent rain, it's worse. The thing that's really bad about Old Moody Road is how many people go down it on a daily basis, and the potholes are right where your tires would hit if you're in a lane. So you can't even, you got it taken care of? Okay, good. Because I was just gonna say that is, I know a lot of the streets are bad, but that one is so bad.
Yes, ma'am. I think Johnny was ordering material for
Good.
that, them
Thank
potholes
you.
on.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. And then when they patch it, maybe they could smooth it out? I don't know.
Well, we're gonna let y'all drive back and forth over it.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's kind of what they did on Horseshoe Bend.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I drove by after someone had been there, and they're just big humps of stuff, and it shocked me, because I thought, can't they get a shovel and push it down? But, okay.
The cold patch material that we were using on those roads really clumped up bad, especially in the cold weather. It just did not apply well. We have since switched to a different product. We're using
Yeah,
rock
and,
asphalt.
yeah, it works a lot
That
better.
process, we shovel that in, and then we use our vehicles, the weight of the
Back and
vehicle to
forth.
go back and forth along that, so it
Yeah.
should be.
I mean, I was joking, but we really do that. We really do that, back and forth. Oh, yes, ma'am. I understand. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I didn't see you. I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Councilman Wiggins.
Yeah, my name is Hermes Mejia, and I live on Hungry Hill Road. I noticed that that's on the list over there. Cold patch doesn't last forever, of course, I know that. But does that include signage on the road there saying for people not to throw trash along the side of the road? Because where I live, there's a lot of trash there, right along the side of the road. They drive by and throw trash everywhere, empty cans, beer cans, and soda pop cans. So it's terrible over there, especially by the creek. I noticed that. I walk over there with my dog and I see it all over. I pick up what I can, of course, but does that include putting signage?
Well, sir, if you would just hang around to the end of the meeting, I can certainly get your contact information. We can discuss that a little bit further. Unfortunately, that question just isn't germane to the interlocal agreement right now, so the council can't really discuss that one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But after the meeting, after the meeting, he can talk with you about it. Okay? Thank you, sir.
Thank you for bringing it to our
Yes, sir.
attention.
Yes, sir. Okay, that one, we are moving right along. Number 18, Establishment of Solar Eclipse Committee. Council to discuss, consider, and possibly take action on the establishment of an ad hoc planning committee in response to the forthcoming total solar eclipse for a period not to exceed 6 months of service. Okay, discussions?
So I'll just say on this one here, the purpose of this committee, again, is just to meet and discuss and plan for that April 8th, 2024 total solar eclipse. It's just gonna be a temporary committee. Probably disband that after a debrief following the event and see exactly how this went and how our response was. I think the best composition of the committee would probably be elected members, staff, emergency operations folks, and citizens as well. So I just recommend that council will come up with a committee that pleases them.
Okay. Have we had people send in and say they'd like to be on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and I think we had one more tonight that wanted to be on it, that hadn't been, his name wasn't put on the paper, I believe. Or is it too late to get somebody?
No, the council's making the
Okay,
action
all right. We had one I think you, sir, you wanted to say something? Oh, you want to be on it too also? Okay. Council? Y'all have,
I have one question.
okay.
How big a committee are we talking here?
The committee can look however council wants it to look like. It could be 3 people, it could be 6 people. You know, anytime you put together a committee.
To nominate or pick if we don't have a.
You just pick them, and if you pick and everybody says okay to that, then that number can be picked right there.
If you have a number in mind, you can go ahead and throw that out.
Yeah, yeah.
I was thinking 10 to 12,
People?
because there's gonna be a lot of work. So 10 to 12 people, I think would be a good committee.
Sure, our conference room might be a little small for that, but we could certainly bring in some additional chairs, or maybe we could set up a committee meeting here in the council chamber.
Okay. Mr. Wiggins, you have a question?
The only thing is, I think it, maybe just put 2 council members on that committee, and I'm gonna recommend that Joyce and Richard be on that committee.
I'll do it. I don't care.
Yes, I thought it was.
Okay.
Wait until I nominate him for something.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Do y'all have a list of people that y'all would like to send into that, besides the 2 council members?
Oh, no, I don't really have a list. I mean, you know, while I'm talking, I mean, I think obviously the chief of police needs to be on it, you know. That's pretty obvious.
Yes, sir.
All I was saying is, I just think 2 council members is enough.
Oh, yeah.
And then the city administrator, of course, chief of police, public works director, Pam, city secretary, I believe that. We need the fire chief, maybe the assistant, you know, these people. And I don't know about some of the business owners would be great, because it's going to affect them, you know.
So far, we have 6 people there.
Right.
Without having business.
Are some of those business owners?
No, it's the chief, Pam, Kent, chief, and Joyce.
Yeah,
and
okay,
Richard.
okay.
Does everybody know about this? When did we post this, that we're looking for a committee?
We pushed this out, I think in early January, it might have been late December.
Yeah, it's late December, yeah.
The meeting, and then you did 1 or 2 savvy citizen notices.
Yes.
Okay, so everybody's had a good chance to,
Yes, sir.
I say we just go with this list we got right here.
Just those 6? Okay, Mr. McGruer, you have a question?
I just saw what I was going to ask about.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
What about the members of the public?
We got them right down here, A, B, C,
So
and D.
if you need to shorten your list, you can take Colton off. I accidentally volunteered him. My email to Kent was supposed to just be for me, and I said, oh, both Colton and I were watching the meeting, and I would love to volunteer. And next thing I knew, he was on the committee, and so if you need to remove people, you can. He has said that he'd be willing to be on this committee, though.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank
he's
you,
not
ma'am.
on the list anyway.
Well, just to clarify, on that list, Richard, that you have, I believe, is you just have A through D, right?
Yeah, and Rick.
Yeah, but then Kent sent an email with some information, and within that email, he had some names, and had Danielle's name, Colton's, Miss Melinda
okay, I see it now.
Gonzalez. I don't see Melinda Gonzalez. You had that in that email. Okay, and then, of course, Rick.
You said him?
So
Yeah, I'd like to see Rick
I
on
don't
it.
know who Melinda Gonzalez is, but doesn't matter.
I would like to see Royce Ann, because she works with vendors.
Rick Edmondson, he
and
recommended
she
Rick
works
Edmondson.
with PR, she knows about PR.
Who's this?
Royce Ann Williams.
Oh, Royce Wiggins.
I think she's on there.
She's on the list. I think she would be good, because she does work
But
with
she's on the
vendors
list.
and all that. She knows all about that stuff.
Okay.
And did we say Mr. Edmonds?
Yes, uh-huh. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7, and with Joyce, that would be 8.
And for everybody's information, I
Is that Royce?
volunteered
Oh, it's Royce Ann,
Rick,
not Joyce, it's Royce Ann.
I volunteered Rick and his wife for trash pickup at Springfest.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, we do trash pickup.
Okay, so that would be 8.
I'm getting them back.
That'd be enough for the council. Okay, 8 would be enough for back there, yeah, okay? We'll stick with 8. Okay, all right, here's the names I'm gonna reach out here. Okay, we have Joyce McLaughlin, Richard Prater, Michael Dorsey, our chief, Kent, the city administrator, Pam's city secretary, Ricky Edmondson? Rick Edmondson, and Joyce Ann, so that would just be 7. I got chief down twice.
How about chief, the fire chief?
Oh, the fire chief, there you go. I knew I had chief down there for a reason. And the fire chief. I beg your pardon?
You're not having these list of these citizens?
I'm just writing down what y'all told me, and I'm just writing them down on a piece of paper. If y'all got somebody else y'all want to put on there, y'all just tell me and I'll write it down. Y'all want Danielle on there since she's... Colton's on there, Danielle's on there.
Well, if you had Danielle and say if you didn't have Colton, say if you just had Danielle.
That'll be 8.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm thinking that he's going to help anyway.
Okay.
And what about that Miss Powell? She's been, try to be active in our
She's on our
committee.
road committee.
Yeah, she's been on the road committee, and
yeah.
So she's trying
She's
to
already on
she's
one.
trying to be active in
Yeah. She's already on one, but she can be on as many committees as y'all say she can be on, so. But that'll give us 9 if we put her on. And if we put her on, that'll be 9. Okay, I got the fire chief, number 1. Roy Sands, 2. Joyce and Richard, that's 4. Michael Dorsey, that's 5. Kent is 6. Pam is 7. Rick is 8. Danielle is 9. And if we put Gail on there, that'd be 10. So we'd just bring in some extra chairs. I don't know how many you want on there, Mr. Wiggins. That's plenty big, yeah. Danielle? Yeah, that's plenty big.
I think that since this committee doesn't necessarily need to have a specific size to it, that the more the merrier, and my suggestion for council would be to accept the entire list. That way we're not excluding anybody who put their name in the hat. I mean, it's an act of courage for people that don't come to these things regularly to put their names out there, and for them not to be included, I think is, I think it's discouraging, but I think it's important that we include everybody.
Okay, there's 14 listed up there. Do we have anybody listed here that's not up there? 16. Rick, okay, all right. Well, as far as that goes, me, number 1, take me off and put Rick up there. That'd be 14.
Why you want to take you off? I don't think we need to take you off. I think you need to be on it.
Okay, well, I'll be on it. Let's have 15. We'll take off 15.
No, we're not stuck.
Oh, because that'd be 16. What's her name?
I mean, if somebody wants to entertain a motion to accept everybody who's volunteered.
I'll make a motion.
Chief plus our staff, I think.
Okay.
I'm good.
Okay.
Richard?
Less work I got to do.
Somebody want to make a motion to accept everyone?
I'll make that motion.
All right.
I'll second it.
And you'll second it. Mr. McGruer, second that. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Somebody's going to have to bring cookies, though.
I'll bake.
Yeah, be a lot.
Yeah.
I volunteer Rick and Joyce.
Okay. Number 19. Second?
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Prater, second that. All in favor? All right, ready. It is now 8:02 and this meeting is closed.
That's quicker than I thought.
Oh, that ordinance that you were looking at,
I don't know
Which
how we
ordinance?
got out of here about
the one you were talking about.
Yeah. Section 10. What'd I tell you?
Yeah,
Section
10.
10. Ah, yeah.